Thursday, July 14th. This Non-Religious Life. I'm your host, Ken. Today we're going to talk about a brief overview of a few points from last week's discussion with Brother Ali. We're going to talk about the crazy names evangelical Christian organizations give themselves, a little bit about Harold Camping, and, of course, I get the date wrong on a news article.
Rotten hooker. The very lies the serpent told to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes.
Hey everyone, it's July 14th, this Non-Religious Life. I'm your host, Ken. With me we have Jason.
Hello.
And Bob.
How's it going?
And today we've got a whole gambit of stuff to talk about. So I guess the first thing I want to do is I want to cover a few things from last week. As you know, we had Brother Ali on the show.
I want that guy back, man.
He was fun to talk to.
I think it was a great discussion, and I think there's some benefit to having him back.
Yeah. There was one thing I wanted to, or a couple things I wanted to cover, and I don't know. I'm getting over this head cold now, and I was just starting to get it last week. So I was a little foggy when he was bringing things up, and I should have caught them, and I didn't.
Excuses.
Yeah, slagger. What you're really telling us is that you didn't know. So you went home and researched, and now magically you know.
No, there are things.
Okay, even let's say that's the case.
I
That's
caught up.
academics, right?
No, I know.
That's how it works.
I'm just picking on it.
I
don't know something,
I definitely
I go home, I
picked
look it
up
up.
on a couple things, and I started to mention them in the broadcast, and then I just sort of I died out. The first was when he said hallelujah, and he said that the word Allah is in there. And I remember saying, I was like, that's a false cognate. Like, it's Yah that means God and not Allah. And it's true because halalu, which is the first part of hallelujah, it means a song of praise. It comes from, I think the Hebrew word is hillel, means like to praise something.
Right.
And it's Yah that means God, not Allah.
What was the term you used again? Because I thought that it was that. I just couldn't think of the word for it. Where it just happens to have the same letters in it.
It's a false cognate. People
cognate,
they
okay.
want to point out something and be like, aha, like look at this. These two words look the same, therefore they're related, and it's not. They're not related at all.
Cat is in catastrophe. So
Exactly.
it must be related to cats somehow.
Yeah. The other one, he wanted to say that in Aramaic the name of God was Allah, and that's what Jesus would have used, and it's not. Allah actually comes from Aramaic, but it comes from Eli, E-L-I, which you actually find in Matthew 27 when Jesus cries out when he's on the cross in Aramaic. He says, Eli, Eli. So Jesus, I remember him saying Jesus would have called God Allah, and he wouldn't have because that word didn't exist yet.
Oh, well, there you go.
I just wanted to get that out there because I got home and I was flipping through some stuff and I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because Allah etymology doesn't appear until
So
things get translated into Arabic.
Am I the only one? It was an interesting discussion. I liked talking to him and all, but there were some things that he did that I found off-putting, just like on a, I don't know, from a weird personal level. Like when you're engaged with someone in a conversation and he's talking, but then he says things that aren't even in English anymore that I don't know who he's talking to. And
that
and I realize that's I don't know, is that like an Islamic custom?
It's an Islamic thing. What he was saying is every time every time in Arabic or in Islam you mention the Prophet Muhammad, you say peace be upon him, and he was just saying it customarily it's said in Arabic.
Yeah, see that I found that I was like, what did you just say? Like,
Yeah,
He was cussing at you.
And there are things you say after anytime you name a prophet. You say similar things.
Yeah, well,
And he was
we
just saying
talked
them in
about that a
Arabic.
little bit. It's just that he does it. I mean, he did it, as a matter
Yeah.
of course. And when he starts talking, and all of a sudden, when he's saying something, and I'm listening, and I'm paying attention, and then all of a sudden there's this string of language that I don't even know. I'm like, what? And then I was completely derailed everything that I was thinking about.
Yeah, it comes from the custom of saying peace be upon him, and I forget what you say after you name another prophet, but whenever you mention their names in the religion, I mean, it's what we were talking about, but being compulsory, and the religion being compulsory. It's compulsory to say that.
Wouldn't it be fun? Like, how about if we have something like every time I say Ken, I have to say like mad props to the skinny dude.
Yeah,
Well, you say that already.
It's exactly like that.
So I was having a discussion with Ken, mad
props to the skinny dude.
And he had some really great things to say. Well, I'm going to try and do that every time I say the word Ken.
Mad props to the skinny guy.
Mad props to the skinny dude.
Oh.
And
linguistically,
I like
makes
it.
me
I'm
shudder.
just going to do it as an experiment to see how pissed off I'll be at the end of it. We're like, God, stop saying that.
Yeah, it was. I find it interesting because it's a level of compulsion and tradition that you don't often find in the more Western religions like Christianity.
Yeah.
Not that Islam
almost
isn't
like
a Western
Tourette's.
religion, but it's more westernized than Islam. It was. I really enjoyed it.
Listen to this, like that son of a bitch.
And reading the Quran is probably one of my next big endeavors. I haven't read it. I've read bits and pieces of it.
Got it on my iPhone.
Yeah, finding a good English translation is really hard.
I have the iPhone translation.
Because, well, traditionally it's considered to have been written in Arabic, but I've heard really good arguments because it's if you read the Bible and you think the Bible's pretty hard to understand sometimes because of colloquial terms in the Hebrew and Greek, the Quran is even worse.
Here's an interesting thought. Well, we've both really been into reading Bart Ehrman, right, in his textual criticism of the New Testament. Do you think that there is a similar author who has written textual criticism of the Quran
are, actually.
that is still alive?
There are. Actually, getting into textual criticism of the Quran, it's actually sort of like a burgeoning field now.
Right.
Because, and I'm trying to remember who it was. I was reading about him, and he was saying that he believes that the Quran was not written in Arabic. It was written in Syriac, which is written, when you write it out, it looks very similar to Arabic. But when you read it in Arabic, it makes almost no sense. But when you read it in Syriac, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I wonder if the Quran suffers from the same sort of translation and copying problems that the New Testament does. And having said that, I'd be surprised if those problems that we find in the New Testament are not as prevalent in the Quran, because those were Islam started in a region where they were literate and
I mean, Christianity started in a place in the world that scribes were fairly literate too. The reason why the Middle East was as literate and advanced as it was is because during the rise of Christianity, being a predominantly non-Christianized area, they didn't abolish the Greek schools.
Right, but one of the things with the New Testament and Christianity is that the guys doing the copying weren't even necessarily scribes. It was just
in the very beginning,
one guy copying it down because he was told to do so, and he was just copying it letter by letter. Whereas I was always under the impression that the Middle East and that they were a more literate culture.
I wouldn't say more literate, because because I mean they were about as literate as like the Hellenistic, like Levant was, but at the same time, the people who started out copying the Quran, I mean, these are people who were, caliphs and stuff like that. They were, they were a higher class than a lot of the peasants who started in Christianity. So they had access to better scribes, most likely. As far as translation, as far as we know, assuming it was actually written in Arabic, the Quran has never gone through major translations. It wasn't translated from Greek into Latin and then into English like the New Testament was. It's in Arabic, and in order for a copy of the Quran to be authoritative, it has to have the Arabic in it.
Interesting things to think about.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know, the answer. I have to look and see who is the textual criticism.
I'll try to remember his name. Maybe I'll include it in the show notes. But it was all in all, I thought it was a fascinating discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I may have misconstrued a couple of things that he was trying to say, but I also felt like he didn't. I felt like when asked a pointed question, he didn't
give a pointed answer.
He didn't give a pointed answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was trying to corral the non sequiturs together and
yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe for a future discussion, we should have some bullet points of where topics we're going to cover, and like maybe 2 or 3 of them, and stick to those.
I think that'd be really good.
It'd be better to do it that way. I don't know. I just thought. Still good. I want him back.
Yeah, no, he was a great guest. It was a good surprise when Jason texted me and told me he had a guest for the show.
I know, right? I just didn't want him to put a jihad on me.
Yeah. Or a
and I resisted all Durka.
A fatwa, like was put on Rushdie.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Speaking of fatwas, have you ever seen the show John Safran versus God?
No.
It was a show this Australian sort of comedian did, and what he just investigated all these religions, and he wanted to know how hard it was to get a fatwa placed on someone. So he went to England, and he actually got an Islamic cleric through nonsense and lies to place a fatwa on someone. He said that the person was publishing a book called The Satanic Verses Part 2, Muhammad the Prophet, What the? And he had like all these mocked up like ads. It's like, screw halal, put some pork on your fork and stuff like that. Yeah, it was hilarious. I really enjoyed that show while it was on.
So are you gonna like on your like the Ken Montville Mad Props to the Skinny Guy bucket list? Are you gonna have have fatwa placed on me?
Yeah,
Check.
right. Check. Yeah, I already want to be persona non grata with religious organizations, but at least like I've always wanted. I wish the Vatican still had the Index Librorum Prohibitum, the index of like prohibited books, because I would love to write a book and have it be on that list.
Yeah.
They got rid of it in the 60s though. I just want to write a book and have some like crazy fundamentalist group burn it. That's what I want. I want to be the target of a book burning. So to segue into more traditional things, we talk about crazy Christian organizations. Any people out there who have been following the news lately, as far as I guess shoes are concerned, know that Tom Shoes recently partnered up with Focus on the Family, which is a Christian anti-gay group, and the owner, he's a relatively young guy, sort of hipsterish.
Sort of.
Yeah, yeah. Has been getting a lot of flack, and I guess he publicly apologized for it. He said it was in bad taste for him. But I always liked Tom's shoes. My girlfriend's nuts about them. Because you buy a pair of shoes and then he donates a pair of shoes in Africa.
I've seen them around.
They
are very hipster.
They're very hipsterish. And while that's interesting, we were talking before the show. These groups, like these hate groups, always have these horribly.
Tell the story about Tom's, and then we'll talk about the.
Oh God, I can't even.
We'll provide our analysis.
So you just read the article now, so why don't you intro it?
Well, it was just all right. So Tom, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, McCoskey.
Yeah, Blake McCoskey.
He winds up in a news article on the Restore Equality Now website, and he has his company Tom's, which from all outward appearances has this very forward-thinking, very progressive, and what's the word I'm looking for? They're they're out trying to do good and help the world. Is my mic on?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. So anyway, and now it says that they've noticed that that they have partnered with Focus on the Family, which does not which does not exactly work with the brand's totally chill image. And Focus on the Family is another one of those anti-gay, anti-abortion, Christian fundamentalist hate groups. And so everybody's like sort of wondering what's going to happen. And then ultimately, Tom McCoskey came out and he issued a statement that was like, "Hey, we're really not partnered with them to the extent that you think we were. They didn't do what you thought they did, and I didn't know who they were, and so now, I guess that relationship is over." And he's like, "I'm sorry," right?
But people are still freaking out about it. It's like people don't read the rest of it. They get like 2 lines from the story, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's partnered with it," And
well, right, but all right. So maybe that outrage is warranted, but I don't know. In my mind, the whole narrative plays out like this. You're Tom McCoskey, arguably a busy guy, right? I mean, like, he's got a lot of stuff on his plate. He's got a lot of irons in the fire, and he's really he's legitimately trying to like do something that matters, that helps people. Bravo, kudos to him. Or am I going to have to say Tom McCoskey? Blake McCoskey.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to call him Tom. So anyway, Blake McCoskey, peace be upon him. He doesn't have time to read and investigate every organization that crosses his path, and I'm certain that there are many of them. And so I'm sure he has a team of people that are supposed to do that. And obviously, somewhere along the line, somebody dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that the ball got dropped because it's like, hey, Blake, here's this group. It's what are they? Focus on the Family. Wow, that sounds good. Well, we should get involved with that. And then it bites him in the ass.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Like,
and I mean, mistakes made.
It's okay to make mistakes. It's fine. Admit your mistakes. Move on.
Yeah. No,
That's
I
what he
mean,
did.
to err is human, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, especially when he's arguably, like you said, a very, very busy guy. He came out and apologized that he didn't really know, and he severed ties, so it's fine. But it always fascinates me, the names of these groups. It's not. It seems like these like horrible hate groups. The nicer the name, the worse the group.
Yeah. Well, if someone were to just say like, "Hey, hey Ken," mad props to the skinny guy. You got an 11:30 meeting with this organization called Focus on the Family, right? I'm sure in your mind you're like, wow, it doesn't sound bad. I'll go talk to them. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I pulled up some of these groups. Like, I mean, obviously, Focus on the Family, Christian, anti-gay, pro-life. We all know about the American Family Association. We've talked about them a lot. Evangelical Christian, anti-gay. The America First Party, which is actually, it's a political group, not a Christian one, but they're paleoconservative, absolutely no restriction on gun laws, closed immigration, all that wonderful nonsense. American Center for Law and Justice, I think, was started by, Pat Robertson, I think, or Jerry Falwell. But they're Christian, pro-life. The Center for Bioethical Reform, Christian, pro-life. The Traditional Values Coalition,
Well, that
Christian,
one seems a little
pro-life, anti-gay, anti-pornography, and they're Christian nationalists.
Yeah.
The Faith and Freedom Coalition, anti-gay Christian group. The Concerned Women for America, anti-gay, pro-life Christian group. It really is there aren't any scary names anymore. When you hear the Ku Klux Klan, you think, oh my God, that's terrifying. It just draws up images of the American Nazi Party. That's it. You picture terrifying things. But you hear
guys in swastikas goose stepping around.
Exactly. But you hear focus on the family, and you're like, oh, I like families.
Yeah.
I don't like to focus though.
So
are you focusing on the family, Jason? No, he's not.
only if you can have a family in 3D.
So,
Really?
But you know what else you gain with a name like that? All right, with a name like Focus on the Family, okay? If they want something political, and they, and if you're a political leader and you reject them or kick them to the curb somehow, they stand up and go, oh, look at this guy. He's against Focus on the Family. He's against
families, of course.
You can just by opposing them, you're colored as the bad guy automatically.
Oh yeah, and it's a tactic that's been used since I want to say since the 50s with McCarthyism. You're soft on communism. It's like you must be an atheist and you hate families and you hate Jesus, and once you're painted with that stripe, you're done.
Yeah, it was funny you mentioned that. I was watching this thing. Who was it? It was Hitchens and somebody else, and they had this big debate, and crap, I have to figure out who it was. But so Hitchens represented the atheist side of the argument, and Hitchens had a very cogent, little 2-sentence, blurb or soundbite, if you will, about his stance, right? And it was about the issue, not the other person. And then the guy who represented the theistic view, his take was that atheists have two arguments. One, there is no God, and two, they hate him. and just by making a statement like that, it's like it just colors the atheist argument oh, see, you hate God. Automatically you're associated with negative, there's negative connotations in there. And right, so from an atheist standpoint, it's like, no, I don't hate God. I don't really hate anybody. I just don't believe God exists. I hate what people do in it. Well, I don't hate, but I disagree with what people do in His name, and I don't particularly hate another person or something like that. But so that's, I think that maybe that's a tactic of the theists, they turn it around, make you hate something.
Of course,
Make
they
you
want
out to be the person who hates.
Well,
paint their enemies as intolerant. You hate God. You hate Christianity.
Right. I don't hate God.
Yeah. I can't hate something.
I don't hate
exist.
the tooth fairy.
Yeah, right. I don't hate the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus.
How can you hate the Easter Bunny? Come on.
I know.
With the pink tail.
I do believe, like, it's interesting. I think on Facebook currently my religious affiliation is listed as maltheist. Because I definitely dislike the idea of God. I believe that if a God did exist, he wouldn't be worthy of worship. But that's because I find the personality attributed to God as being not exactly divine in nature. I don't hate Christians. I think sometimes what they believe is silly.
Yeah.
But they're entitled to silly beliefs.
Yeah, just don't make me hang with your silly beliefs.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe we got to come up with a group name. We got to come up with like that positive sounding. And what could we?
We have the most positive name for a show ever. I mean, how could you be against it? This non-religious life.
No, I think it's too benign. Like, you know, like
I'm
this
just
non-religious life. You know, I mean, it is what it is, right? And I think it's an apt description. But I mean, like, let's get on the bandwagon, man. Let's think of something. We can be the American freedom of. I don't know. American freedom family. Got to have them in there somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Patriot.
The
Here
family
we go.
of
The word patriot.
patriotic American secularists or something. I don't know. It's something, you know. That way people, you know, if somebody slaps us around, we can be like, oh, you hate America.
You know, though, it's something. It's kind of funny that I was just thinking about it now.
I'm waiting for Bill
a lot
O'Reilly
of
to call.
progressive groups define themselves by what they don't do. And I was just thinking about it. Think about it. Like, I mean, atheists. It is.
Right.
It's a term in the negative. You know, vegans define themselves by what they don't do. Teetotalers and non-smokers define themselves by what they don't do. It's very interesting.
That's an interesting thought.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Because nobody wants to do anything.
Laziness. Gotcha.
I don't want any meat because then you have to cook it longer. Vegan food.
I can definitely admit to sitting on my couch a lot. So maybe that is it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting point. I was just trying to think of some what we could rename some of these anti-gay groups about what they don't do.
But they're not appropriate for
the Concerned Women for America is they're the non-abortion having, no contraceptive using population baby making machine. I don't know.
Yeah. No, baby making is a term in the positive. Needs to be in the negative.
No, baby making is not a term for the positive.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. That's. I wonder what that. I don't know. I bet somebody's looked at that, but I don't know what that says exactly.
I don't know.
It's an interesting.
That's a lot of dead air.
I have to look into that. So.
You haven't plugged our Indiegogo.
It's over.
Done. Yeah, it's done.
It's over today.
It's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really Thursday. We record ahead of time. Everybody knows that.
Why do you have to destroy our dream?
I thought everybody knew that. I'm sorry.
Technically, it ends.
I live in the now, Jason. I live in the now.
But you were saying earlier how much you were happy to live in the future.
Yeah, I do like living in the future.
Recording the show is like living in the future.
Okay.
By 2 days.
We just don't want to talk about
Damn
things.
Yeah.
I don't usually put those things together.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so we can talk about Indiegogo because we want to thank everybody who has donated. We will do an official show where we actually do all the shout outs and send out all the prizes or whatever you want to call them.
I can't wait to have some of the guests on the show. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I don't know how it's going to go, but we'll see.
I'm interested.
Yeah. So I'll be sending out an email to all the winners soon, giving them their free path food, giving them heads up on when we record how they want to come in. And,
I just want to say it was, I mean, the amount that we raised was pretty impressive. I didn't think we would, I mean, we set it up so that we had like the different tiers. I didn't think we would get nearly as many large donations as we did. Seems like a majority of our donations were
well, they said that
in the $100 bracket.
That most campaigns are not the longest or the minimum. I can't even talk. The average of the shortest time span that you'd run a campaign is 60 days. We did it in 30.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think if we would have done the 60, we would have made our goal. Just because it's.
If we could slow down time and fit another month.
Yeah, but it just wouldn't have worked because we had to save money to. And since we're not in the future and we're recording this right now, there's 39 hours left.
Yeah.
By the time you hear this, it's
over by the time you guys see this. But as of right now, there are 39 hours left. I knew it was like about 40.
Yeah.
So.
That's it. I want everybody.
Jason, what are you doing on Facebook while we're recording this?
I am promoting the show while we're recording this.
Excellent. Well, then continue.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
I also want to
dance monkey.
I want to cover because it's exciting that we got a shout out from Dr. Robert Price.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I was listening to Dr. Robert Price's podcast, The Bible Geek, which is a lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and listen to it. He is hilarious.
He has about 200 episodes, and I'm slowly working my way through them now, and they're about an hour long. So,
well, I think what he does is, I think just every day he sits down in front of his computer, he reads email, and then he just rambles on.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting exercise to listen to him because when he talks, you are drinking from the fire hose, man. He is throwing a lot of information at you, and I'm finding myself like pausing it, looking crap up, and trying to figure out what he's trying to say.
A lot of it's very intense. I mean, not only is he amazingly erudite, his a lot of the people that submit questions are just, I mean, they're fascinatingly brilliant questions.
Well, I think a lot of times that's interesting. A lot of times, what I'm hearing is that they're not necessarily questions per se. They are
theories.
They're very elaborate and well thought out arguments about a certain position, and they want to get his take on it. They want to see if he, whether he agrees or disagrees. And sometimes he does, and sometimes he doesn't, and sometimes he'll add something to the argument or maybe refute it, with whatever whatever stance he has. And in fact, your question in particular, he didn't. All right, so I was doing dishes, I was listening to it, and just like chores around the house, listening to a podcast, and I hear him introduce this question by Ken Montville. Mad props to the skinny guy. And
that'd be awesome if he actually said that.
Oh my god.
So, but your question was about Mary Magdalene and Mary the prostitute.
Yeah,
and Mary
the question
God.
was, in a previous episode, he was talking about Mary Magdalene and the idea that she was a prostitute, and the argument that she's a prostitute, as far as I knew, came from a conflation of Mary Magdalene, Mary from Bethany, and the unnamed Mary, or the unnamed prostitute in the pericope adulterae in John 7:53 through 8:11. And this was put together in the 6th century by Pope Gregory the Great. And that was the first time that Mary Magdalene had ever been painted as a prostitute. But he had come up, he had said previously that he thought Magdalene wasn't a name from a place so much as a pun, as the Israelites and early Jews did so often. They punned on things. Magdalene sounds very similar to the word, I think it's Medgala or something like that, Aramaic, I think, or maybe it's Greek. I don't know the root language, but it means hair curler, which is a slang term for prostitute, as opposed to Magdalene, meaning from Magdala, which is a city, I think, near Tiberias. And so I asked for his opinion on it because I was just like, it's interesting and it's possible, but as far as I know, the only documentary proof for it comes from the 6th century from a pope who really hated women.
Yeah, he mentions that, and really his the way he addresses the question, which I'm sure you'll listen to it, but he doesn't really offer his own opinion so much as he provides the he sort of references other people's thoughts on the matter, because he says as far as his thoughts on the matter go, that he regards the Magdalene as much of a myth as Jesus.
Of course.
So he's like, well, but other people think these things, and it was good listen. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was like, what? and so I'm listening to it too, right? And I hear Ken Montville, mad props to the skinny guy, and I was like, holy shit! And my girlfriend was like, what? She came running in like something was the matter. I forgot that sometimes when you're listening to things, other people don't hear them either.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the episode yet, but I'll download it. Like I said, I'm slowly working my way through his other 200, and it's an amazing podcast. It's definitely right up my alley with the fact that he just talks about something that most people have no care in the world to listen to.
Well, he definitely knows about the other pantheons of gods and the other religions that existed at the time,
Yes.
and he does have a very good.
He has a great grasp on it.
Good is an understatement. He has an incredible grasp of the context and the history around the rise of Christianity. So, pretty neat. So, what we need to do is start flooding his email with invitations.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll only take one invitation. He's always willing to speak, it seems. He has a Master of Theological Studies, and he has 2 PhDs, one in systematic theology and the other in New Testament, which is incredible. Like, I can't even imagine. His bachelor's was it looks like it was maybe a triple major or a double major with a minor, but he did classics, history, and religion as his undergraduate.
He's another one of those guys that started out as a believer and educated his way into atheism.
Yeah, he was actually
he was a minister.
He was a minister. He was an evangelical minister. Yeah, which is incredible. It seems like a lot of these guys always start out as the evangelicals, and then once they learn about it's like, I think it was Mark Twain used to say, the best cure for Christianity is reading the Bible.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, it's interesting. God, it'd be great if he was on the show. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I'll extend him an invite to come talk. Who knows?
I know, right? He might even say yes. Or he might watch the show like, that other guy, he sucks.
I'm sitting right here, dude. You don't.
No,
have to
Here's some breaking news.
do it.
Anti-gay Alabama Attorney General caught being gay.
Didn't we say?
It was a countdown.
Didn't we say that the more anti-gay you are as a political leader, the more likely you are to be gay? Really, who is it in?
It is.
What's the scoop? Because that's too good.
Where is he? Troy King, who is the anti-homosexual Republican Attorney General in Alabama, was caught having homosexual sexual intercourse with his homosexual gay male assistant. Bonus, the dude's wife caught him in bed.
Whoa,
Oh, God.
that's tough.
That's
Yeah.
that would be.
I love it because it's like what Hitchens says. You can set your watch by it. Like.
So, all right, so does this guy have religious affiliations too? Because usually, if they're Republican and anti-gay, they have some kind of tie to a religious fundamentalism. And you know what? He's going to come out and he's going to say, "Oh God, it was
the devil.
It was the devil made me do it."
Of course, you know it always is. Let's see. Let's look him up. Investigative journalism live.
Yeah,
live.
And while he's looking it up, I want to bring up Mr.
He's a Baptist.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
Baptist.
He got it already.
So, you were you gonna say, Jason?
No, go ahead. I'll wait until we're finished with this topic.
He brought attention to the need for new laws requiring the tracking of released sex offenders by wearing an electronic monitoring bracelet. He was investigated for gambling, it looks like. He's a proponent of the death penalty. You know, it always gets I assume he's anti-gay and a Baptist, so he's probably pro-life. But yeah. I love it to no end when pro-lifers are so like vehemently pro-death penalty. It's like, don't kill the unborn, but as soon as they're born, to hell with them.
Yeah.
You know?
What's his name?
Troy Robin King. Oh, he's a former attorney general. He just left office in January of this year. But he was the 45th Alabama attorney general. Huh. 3 kids. This is very interesting. I love when this stuff comes out. Like, I especially love it when like the crazy evangelical ministers are caught, you know, doing meth and male prostitutes.
Caught doing math?
Meth.
Oh, math. I don't think it's that big of a deal that they do math.
It is a big deal doing math if you read the Bible. I'm sorry. Like, and I think it's 2 Chronicles where it tells you that pi equals 3.
Yeah.
No.
That's funny.
It was 2 cubits across and 6 cubits around. Like, no.
Do you watch?
That doesn't work.
I think this reminds me of this whole Troy Robin King. This reminds me of. Do you watch The Office?
I love The Office.
And you know how what's the blonde girl's name?
Angela.
The way she's dating the senator.
Oh yeah.
He's always got
the
that
senator's
aide with him. And they've never. Well, the one accountant. What's the accountant guy's name? He's
Oscar.
Oscar's the only one that's come out and been like, yeah, he's gay.
Well, Oscar's like,
I should know.
As Angela's friend, I'm horrified. As he says he's horrified of a couple things. He's like, as a lover of elegant weddings, kind of excited.
Yeah. But I you see that on a TV show, and it's like, how could people not see this happening in real life?
It's art imitating
it's just
life.
As obvious though.
It's art imitating life. It's so true. Like, I mean, in American politics, and especially in the South, Alabama, if you were openly gay, and it sucks, and I think that camera is off. My camera. I just looked over now. And as you like,
how'd your camera go off?
I don't know. You cannot, and it's very sad. It's, I mean, arguably, I would say even more sad than the fact that it's hard to get elected as an atheist. You cannot be openly gay and get elected to some of these positions. So they don't come out, and they live this entire life in the closet. It's very, I don't know. It's very, it makes me sad for them, but at the same time, I think it's, the voices that scream the loudest.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and I think that I think we could develop some kind of like probabilistic math function with like how vocal they are and how anti-gay they are, and come up with a probability and a timeline of when they're going to get caught being gay.
I mean, well, there have been studies showing like in graphic detail that in some cases, a good deal of cases, homophobia, like very very vocal homophobia, is often linked to latent homosexual desire that the person, is ashamed of because of their upbringing, because of social norms.
Yeah. This is so funny. And it says the Attorney General's office is denying it so far.
Of course. A gay Attorney General in Alabama? No way.
Oh my gosh.
And
when it says that his gay lover is either a college buddy or a very young youngster.
Yeah.
And he's the homecoming king from Troy University.
He was interested in outlawing homosexuality and sex toys.
Very interesting. I always
Why would you outlaw sex toys? I mean,
Because it's immoral, man. They want to dictate what you can and cannot do.
He's a dick.
That is one of the things that bothers me about when Christians take what is outlined as being like the social norms in the Bible, and they conflate it with morality. God said it. It has to be moral because God's a moral being. God can't tell you something. I mean, it's almost nonsensical. Like, I mean, I think reading the Bible, you can point out a number of places where God says things that are absolutely not moral.
I was thinking, I was reminded of something about that the other day where somebody was talking about anti-gay scripture in the Bible, and then somebody like pointed out, like, it says that you're not supposed to have your hair cut a certain way.
Yeah, you're not allowed to round the sides of your head. The hair near your temples is supposed to be long.
And the guy was like was like, well, I guess we're gonna ignore that one, but we're gonna stick with this one that says you can't be gay. I think that's silly.
Yeah. Well,
cherry picking and willful ignorance.
There's certain there's reasons why they stick to some things like that. In the early church, when they were first starting to bring in Gentiles, I mean the very beginning, it was a Jewish sect. Christians were indistinguishable from regular Jews. They just had a slightly different idea about one particular guy. When they started bringing in Gentile Christians, they had the debate, and you see it play out in Acts. I think it's Acts 15, the council at Jerusalem. And the whole debate is whether or not Gentiles coming into the church need to proselytize into Judaism and become circumcised. And they argue they don't. There's no reason why they need to assimilate into Jewish culture and take on all the Jewish moral taboos and the mores of Jewish culture. But they do have to abide by what the Jews called being a righteous Gentile, or one of the children of Noah. So there's these 7 laws outlined in... It's in the Talmud now. The Talmud wasn't written then, but it was an oral tradition. But in Talmud, in the Sanhedrin, I think it's Leaf 56a, it says that there are 7 laws given from God to Noah. And it was the establishment of courts. You're not allowed to eat animals while they're still alive. No adultery, no idolatry, no blasphemy. Damn it, I'm forgetting 2 of them. Oh, no murdering. Oh, and sexual immorality, duh. And sexual immorality I think in the when they talk about it in the New Testament, it's the word porneus in Greek, which just means fornication, but it gets translated into sexual immorality.
I guess anytime you can slip a little sexual immorality in there, you go for it.
So, and we all know religion, one of religion's biggest deals is controlling people's sex lives. If you control people's sex lives, you control people. Let's be honest. We are sexual beings. Tell you who you can and cannot sleep with. But then again, there's the whole debate about, homosexuality at that point in time. I mean, human sexuality in general is viewed completely differently. They could have been talking about pedastry, or they could have been talking about when one group of people would conquer another group of people and then sodomize them.
Yeah.
Well,
right. I mean, we always see it in the context of our modern
anachronism.
Which, right. I don't know. Yeah. Our current viewpoint.
Of course. I mean, you view the world in light of what you already know, and that's how we know sexuality is now. So that's how we view those things, especially when it's fairly vague. Christianity doesn't have that sort of legalistic interpretation of Scripture the way Judaism does, though. Something I find fascinating about Judaism, it's like they get very in-depth with their rules. Like when you clean a house for Passover, there can't be any grain in the house. But what if a mouse enters your house and the mouse has grain in his mouth? Then you have to clean the house again. But what if a rat comes in and there's a mouse with grain in his mouth and the rat's carrying the mouse in his mouth? Do you have to clean the house? And no lie, it is that legalistic, and it's no room for interpretation outside of what these legalistic is the only way to express it.
Have you watched the Bill Maher movie Religulous?
Yeah,
I love the bit in Religulous where the guy he's in Israel somewhere, and he has this whole little cottage industry where he has these little, they're almost like Rube Goldberg-esque devices to allow the devout Jew to turn on a light switch.
Do things on the Sabbath.
He can do the work on the Sabbath, and then this will ultimately turn on the light switch. So he didn't break the laws.
Loopholes.
But,
it's crazy.
But yet the light is on. It's it's really funny. And Bill Maher he pokes some gentle fun at that one.
Yeah, I mean the Jews have
which I think is kind of funny.
There are 613 laws in Judaism, 613 commandments, and they get really crazy. There's a story in the Bible of a guy who goes out and collects sticks on the Sabbath,
right?
And they stone him.
Yeah.
Because he broke the Sabbath. You're not allowed to take more than, I think it's 1,000 steps on the Sabbath. You're not allowed to drive a car or make a fire or push a button.
Push a button.
As if Bronze Age people knew what a button was.
Right, yeah.
It's very. It's legalistic, and I mean, of course, there are loopholes, and that's how these people get around this stuff.
I know, but I think that's the fun part of it is taking your way through the loopholes.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what some of them were. They were fairly interesting, though. I enjoyed that movie. He didn't get as in depth into some of the religions that I hope he would, but hilarious and a great movie to watch.
Hilarious. So I'm curious about this, where this whole Troy King thing is going to wind up, because this is really good. And I'm waiting for somebody to update his Wikipedia page right now. I'm sure there's somebody doing it.
I know. I mean, I just saw the link as I brought it up, and it's from July 10th. Oh, 2008. Oh, whoops. Never mind. Happened a long time ago. Sometimes I got to look at dates on things. Still hilarious.
Dates are overrated.
It's just a good example of like when this stuff goes awry. Oh man.
Way to be on top of it.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It's I don't know. It's very funny. Like it seems it's not how do I want to say this?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter how old it is because it's definitely it's commonplace. You're always hearing about the big anti-gay, loudmouths getting caught in bed with somebody.
How come you never hear about pro-gay loudmouths getting caught in bed with heterosexuals?
Because that's not.
What?
I don't even know where to begin with that question.
Just trying to help fill up the dead air.
Yeah.
No, anyway, but we didn't talk about it last time because we had a guest, but I want to bring up something that happened a while back. Harold Camping, the guy who helped to bring this show to life, is now in a nursing home.
He's in a nursing home now?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's God's will.
It's God's will for him to be taken care of the rest of his life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all right, obviously, I can see how that would happen, right? He's old. He's an old guy. He's probably not in the best of health. He had a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's in a. Is it like a? Do you know any details about it?
All I got
Is it
from
like
it was
assisted living, or is it like, is he round the clock medical care?
I think it's just assisted living, maybe.
Well, I mean, he does suffer from the medical condition that's colloquially called being fucking old.
No, but he was put in there after the stroke. He said he was moved to the nursing home after the stroke. Harold Camping, blah blah blah. Let me find. I got the article here. Landed up in the hospital last month. His radio show where he speaks of Christians off the air. He's 89 years old. He's living in a nursing home. Camping daughter confirmed that Camping moved from the area hospital to a skilled nursing home where he's undergoing therapy and rehabilitation to build his strength. So apparently the stroke did more than take his voice. He has to take physical therapy. And that's all that I have, and that's the source for that is San Francisco Weekly, SF Weekly.
I wonder what the comments are on it. Because, here it is. Here's this guy. He is enjoying ostensibly a level of medical care that I don't think his followers enjoy, this degree of medical care. Do you think that all the people that gave their money that are out
No.
They're out of cash and jobs and income and he's horrible.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I want to say he has made a very successful name for himself, even outside of being a date setter for the end times. Family radio is, a very successful.
Well, they're not broadcasting anymore since his show at least is no longer
his
broadcasting.
show is an open forum has been replaced with new programming.
Yeah, but Family Radio is still up
and running. Yeah,
and he's still waiting for October 21st.
I know.
I am too.
However, can I say something? Can I just say, who says marriage doesn't last anymore? He's been married to his wife since 1943.
Yeah, did you hear that in the interview? Right, where he says when they were accusing him of. They were accusing him of fleecing those people who gave him money. And his response was, he says, "Well, I don't have control over anybody. I don't have.
That's what everybody.
I don't have domain over anybody except my wife."
Of course. Well,
or dominion. He used the word dominion.
Dominion, yes.
I don't have dominion over any of those people. I don't have dominion over anybody except my wife.
Yeah. God, that's terrifying. Where is that? Oh God, it's like 2 Timothy or something like
Well,
that.
according to, let me see. I'm looking up.
Dead Air. Yes, Jason.
Yeah. I'm looking up how much they made, and the only financial report that's online is from 2009. But they got 19 million total revenue in 2009. But they spent 36 million.
$36 million.
Yeah, their deficit for that year was $16 million. Net assets.
Spent money like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah, true. Net assets 72 million. And this is in 2009. So,
That's so much money. That
Harold Camping
Damn.
is not compensated according to this report, but other salaries is William Thornton, he's the assistant secretary treasurer, and he gets $60,000. David Hoff, which is the international department manager, he was compensated $1,600. Again, this is 2009, not accurate numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Wow. Well,
Boo,
you know,
Harold Camping.
as much as I think he's what he does is reprehensible. You know, I wish no harm on the man. I hope he's all right in the nursing home. And
Yeah.
oh, and I thank him for starting the show.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's because of him.
Thanks for being nuts, Harold.
God's will.
You know. So it's
What?
apparently he doesn't disagree with assisted living. I wonder.
Why
I
would he
wonder if-
disagree with
I don't know.
assisted
Some
living?
religious groups that get really hung up on.
The Christian
I've-
scientists don't.
I've never
Yeah.
heard anybody
don't
get
believe at
upset
all
about
in any sort of
Yeah.
medical intervention.
Yeah,
But
no scientifically based medicine.
mhm.
Yeah, but there are a
So-
small fraction of.
I know, but I mean, there are other Christian groups too that get all bent up over it. And then you have the opposite side where it's like the non-euthanasia. But I guess it is what it is. So I guess we're kind of running out of topics here, and
Well, we're running out.
we're
of time.
running out of time too. So let me just wrap this up. We've talked about a lot of stuff. We've seen that I don't know how to read dates on news
That's
articles.
okay.
What have you learned from this
It's
program
still kind
today?
of germane.
It's totally germane. It's, of course, as always.
Well, we've learned that one of the people that left a comment on one of our YouTube videos saying that you say like a lot.
What's that?
You say like a lot, but
I say like.
that's what somebody wrote on a comment.
Oh,
So, I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things
It doesn't
that
matter.
you say to fill up time when you're thinking.
Somebody criticized you for saying the word like
Yeah,
a
I'm
lot.
trying to. Well, we'll do that off there, but
Yeah,
That's funny.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I use a lot of filler words. I say a lot. So, as always, if you have any questions, comments, outbursts, you want to call me out for saying like a whole bunch,
they've already done that. So.
you can call the ZPN hotline 757-337-2195. You can email us at nonreligious@zombie-popcorn.com. And you can, of course, like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/thisnonreligiouslife. So please, stay tuned in. Hopefully we have a list of guests that would love to get on here. Maybe I'll send that interview request to
Yeah, maybe we'll
Robert
get Dr.
Price.
Price on. That'd be awesome. Maybe we'll bring Brother Ali back.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be good.
We
should
have some guest spots that are going to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some guest spots. Keep your eyes peeled for that.
Good
So,
times.
Until next time, take care.
Goodbye.
Got out here.
I thought I was a good Christian.
Jesus died on a cross. I go to church every Sunday. Just got out here. Then I read this. It says Jesus died on a cross for a rotten hooker.
I thought I was promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies.